On to question 113. Amal buys 110 kg of syrup and 120 kg of juice. Syrup being 20% less costly than juice. The amounts are not given over here, but the quantity purchased are given. Two types. Fine. He sells 10 kg of syrup at 10% profit. Some portion of this is sold. 100 kg is left. And 20 kg of juice at 20% profit. From 120, 20 is sold at some profit. Okay. 100 kg is left. Okay. Two round numbers, 100, 100. Mixing the remaining juice and syrup, Amal sells the mixture at 308.32 per kg. Remaining 200 kg was sold at this price, fine, and makes an overall profit of 64%. 64% on this purchase price. Then Amal's cost price for syrup is what? Now, syrup over here is linked up as well, right? So the cost prices are linked up over here. Syrup being 20% less costly than juice. We need to find that, just use a variable. There are too many, absolute values over here. One such over here itself is a little difficult to work with. Just assume a value and, use a variable and just continue, right? Let's look at the cost structure over here. The cost is what? We have syrup, right? And we have juice, right? What is the CP per kg? We don't know that. But syrup is 20% less costly than juice. Okay, so let juice over here be 10x, right? Take it as x. Then syrup is going to be 20% less than this. 20% of this is 2x. 2x less than that is 8x, right? 20% less than this. I'm not writing down the steps. You should know it at this level, right? 20% of 10 is 2. 2 you subtract and you get 8x over here. Okay. Continuing, the quantity is given to us, quantity purchased, right? Quantity purchased is 110 in the case of syrup, okay? And 120 over here, okay? That's in kg. If you multiply these two, you're going to get total CP, right? 8x into 110 is going to give us 880x, and this over here is 1200x, and we can write a total down as well. Total of these two is going to give us 2080x. Now, this is a little non-linear in the sense that, it's not in a continuous format. We're told that the overall profit is 64%. Overall is 64%. So 2080x was the cost price. On this, 64% profit. So multiply with 1.64, the multiplication factor, and you're going to get the total SP, right? Total amount which has been realized. You can use a calculator over here, right? Don't have a screen calculator, just bring this in, and 2080 into 1.64, right? And you get 3411.2, right? So 3411.2x, right? So that's what we've got over here. Now, what's the other scenario? They've broken it up and given us certain values, right? So what happens on the selling price front, direct selling price front, 10 kg of syrup, right? 10 kg of syrup, right, was sold for what price? What price? A 10% profit. 10% profit on the syrup's cost price. 10% of 8x is 0.8x, that much extra. So it comes to 8.8x. Right? You should not be wasting time with these steps. 10 into 1.1 times the cost price of a syrup per kg. 10 kgs, 8x over here is the cost price per kg into 1.1 because 10% profit. That's the multiplication factor. Look to directly do it if you can. Anyway, 10 into 1.1 is 11. 11 8s are 88. So that's an 88x. Okay. And what about the 20 kg of juice? 20 kg of juice over here. That's going to be 20 into, let's just continue the same format, 1.2 into the cost price per kg of juice, and that comes to 10x, right? So 20 into 1.2 is 24 into this is going to give us 240x. Okay, that accounts for 20 of these, 30 kg totally. We have 200 more kg. Now what is happening? Mixing the remaining juice and syrup, that's 100 plus 100. 10 is sold from 110, 20 is sold from 120, you're left with 200 combined. 200 kg of mixture is sold at what price? 308.32, right? So 200 is sold at 308.32, and to get us how much of it, right? So once again, you can bring in the calculator. 200 into 308.32 is nothing but 2 into 30832. I'm getting rid of the decimals. So 61664, right? So that's 61664. If you add this up, you get another form of the total SP, which is 88 plus 240, which comes to 328x plus 61664. Now this bit and this bit, these two have to be equal. One we got through cost price in the overall profit percent, and one we got by individually finding the values and adding them up, right? That's going to be a linear equation with one variable. Solve for it and you're done, right? So if these two are going to be equal, I bring the 328x to this side. So 3411.2x, okay, let me just write down the steps, equals 328x plus 61664. So you bring the 328 over here to the other side. What's it going to be? Once again, you can use the calculator for this. 3411.2 minus 328, that's 3083.2. Okay, so you get 3083.2x equals 61664. This into 2 looks like this. Let's just try it out and see if it works out. 61664 divided by 3083.2, and we got a round number, whole number, which is x equals 20. That's it. What's Amal's cost price of syrup in rupees per kg? Cost price syrup in rupees per kg is 8x. That means 8 times 20, which comes to 160 rupees. On to question 114. Ankita buys 4 kg cashews, 14 kg peanuts, and 6 kg of almonds. Okay, when the cost of 7 kg cashews is the same as that of 30 kg peanuts or 9 kg almonds, right? So whenever you're given something like this, right, 7 kg of cashews, let the price per kg of a cashew be C, that for a peanut price per kg be P, and price per kg of almonds be A. It simply means 7 into C, right? C is the price per kg, remember, yeah? So this is the price per kg, yeah? 7C equals 30P equals 9A, right? When you have something like this, and you need to find out, all you can, or rather what you can do over here is to find out the ratio of the price per kg of each of these C, P, and A. Now, how do you do that? Equate all of this to K, which means if 7C is K, C is going to be K by 7. If 30P is K, P is going to be K by 30, and A over here is going to be K by 9, right? So what is C is to P is to A, then C is to P is to A over here is nothing but K by 7 is to K by 30, K by 7 is to K by 30 is to K by 9. The K's get cancelled, multiply the entire thing with the LCM. 7 into 30, that's a 210, which is still not divisible by 9, so make it a 630, right? So this entire thing into 630, right, is going to give us this ratio C is to P is to A. 630 into 1 by 7, that's a 90. 630 into 1 by 30, that's a 21 is to 70 over here. So let me just rewrite this over here. 90 is to 21 is to 70. C is to P is to A is 90 is to 21 is to 70. And what is this? This is the cost price per kg of each of these. Okay. Now she mixes all the 3 nuts and marks up price for the mixture in order to make a profit of 1752. Right. Now what are the nuts? What's the total quantity? 4 plus 6, 10, 10 plus 14, 24. From these 24 kg, initially marks a price intending to make a profit of 1752 rupees by selling all 24 kg. Right. So what is going to be the initial expected profit per kg? Let's write that down. 1752 divided by 24 kgs totally. Okay. 1800 is close to it. 1800 by 24, that comes to a 75 minus 224 is 48, so that's going to be a 73. You can use the calculator here. She sells 4 kg, or just let me just clearly write this down, rupees 73 per kg, right? So that we're not confused with the number 73, what it means. She sells 4 kg of the mixture at this mark price and the remaining at a 20% discount on the mark price, thus making a total profit of 744. That means for this 4 kgs, for 4 kgs, she makes a profit of this because it's sold at this mark price, initial expected price. 4 into 73, right? So that happens. Then the remaining, how many kilos from 24 are sold? 20 kilos are sold at some price which we don't know, right? Let's call that X. We don't know that X, or rather the reduced profit, right? The remaining 20 are sold at the reduced profit, and that results in the total profit being just 744 rupees, right? 4 into 73, right? Full amount of profit realized over here. Remaining 20 was sold at a reduced price. Therefore, the profit reduced to some value per kg. We don't know that. Let's find that out, right? So 4 into 73 over here is going to give us 280, 292. You move the 292 there and subtract from 744. Remove a 300. That's going to give you a 444. Add back 8 and you get a 452. By 20 is going to be X. 452 by 2, that's going to be 226, right? So 22.6 rupees per kg, right? So that over here is the reduced profit. From 73, it is reduced to 22.6 rupees a kg because of the discount of 20% offered on the mark price. So what is the 20% of discount on the mark price, right? 20% of discount, or 1/5 of the mark price, right? 20% of discount on the mark price is nothing but this reduced profit. This reduced profit, 73 minus 22.6. So the mark price over here was 73 minus 22.6, and that gives us a 50.4 into 5, which comes to 252 rupees. That's the mark price per kg, right? Let's clearly write that down. So how do I find the cost price, right? Because what we need to find is amount in rupees spent in buying almonds, right? I need to find in terms of cost price. I have the mark price over here, which is 252 rupees a kg. I have the initial expected profit of 73 rupees a kg. 252 minus the 73, CP equals 252 minus 73, and which comes to rupees, how much is that? 179 rupees per kg. That's the cost price of what? Of this entire bit, right? All of this mixed up. Now what is asked is only for almond, not the cost price per kg, but the amount spent in buying these almonds we need to find. Now what we could do over here is find out the ratio of amount spent for the 3 items. That we can find, right? We have the cost price per kg. We also have the kgs purchased, right? What are the kgs purchased over here? 4 is to 14 is to 6. The ratio of the kgs of quantity purchased. 4 is to 14 is to 6, which is nothing but 2 is to 7 is to 3. Now when product of 2 items gives you the third one, then the ratios can be individually multiplied, right? We've seen that in the ratios lesson. So these two multiplied gives us the total CP, right? CP per kg into total quantity is going to give us the total amount spent. So 90 into 2 over here is 180. 21 into 7 over here is going to give us 147. 73 is 210. Now anything is cancelable over here? Yeah, 3. A 3 is divisible everywhere. So divide by 3 everywhere and you get a 60 is to 147 is going to give us a 49 is to 70. Now, what is the total CP? 179 per kg it was, but the total quantity purchased over here is 4 plus 6, 10 plus 14, 24 kg, right? Total CP equals 179 into 24. Now, the amount spent on almonds only, total CP for almonds only, if you want, then it's going to be only the portion of almonds over here, which is 70 divided by total. 60 plus 49 is 109, 109 plus 70 over there is 179, right? Perfect. Cancelable over here. 70 into 24, that comes to 7 and 24. 24 into 7, that's the number of hours in a week, right? 168 hours in a week. 1680. Option 1 over here becomes the answer. Now this is a tough question, obviously, right? So this is the kind of question you come, or rather spend time on in the exam. Once you realize that you're done with the other questions, right? Look for easier questions. Um, Even if you start with a question like this, somewhere if you feel you're getting stuck, just let go of it and keep moving, right? Come back to it later. Do not break your head on this thinking that, arithmetic, I have to answer every single question of them, right? So don't waste time on that. And that gives you all the more reason for you to prepare for other chapters and other lessons as well, because you don't know where the easy questions are going to come from. What if you just prepare for arithmetic only and you end up getting, the hard questions are coming from there, right? So you wouldn't want that scenario. So prepare for, across. Look to complete the portions. In case any of you are interested, just sign up at Mockat.com and get access to these. Yeah. So let's move to the next question. Now on to a question from CAT 2007, right? So that's the year I wrote the exam. Mr. David manufactures and sells a single product at a fixed price in a niche market. The selling price of each unit is rupees 30. Right? 30 per unit is given to us. Now, on the other hand, the cost in rupees of producing X units is 240 plus BX plus CX square, where B and C are some constants. That's the cost. This is the cost equation. Okay, let's write this down clearly. The revenue over here is going to be 30 into what? X units. 30 rupees a unit for X units. That's the revenue. What's the cost over here? The cost over here is 240 plus BX plus CX square. 240 plus BX plus CX square. Okay. Now, Mr. David noticed that doubling the daily production from 20 to 40 units increases the daily production cost by 66.66%. 66.66% as a fraction, you should know, is 2/3. From 20, if you increase to 40 units. Okay, at 20 units, what's this cost going to be? At 20 units, it's 240 plus, substitute X equals 20, right? 20 units. B into 20, which is 20B, plus 20 square into C. 20 square is 400C, right? This is at 20 units. At 40 units, what's it going to be? 240 plus 40 into B plus 40 square, 1600C, right? Okay. Now, what do I do with this? What are we required to do? What's told over here is, notice that when it goes from 20 to 40 units, production cost increasing by 2/3. Whatever it used to be, it has now become 2/3 more, which is 1 plus 2/3, right? So the new value is old value plus 2/3 of it, right? Old value plus 2/3 of it. This is how you're supposed to write it. But over time, you should know 1 plus 2/3 over here is nothing but 5 by 3, right? 5 by 3. 2/3 increase means it's become 5/3 of it, right? 5/3. I can take the 3 and multiply over there. And what do I get? Okay, let's just write this part first. 1200 plus 100B plus 2000C equals a 720 plus 120B plus a 4800C. Okay. Now, how do we simplify? Bring the 720 here. You get a 480 equals, take the 100B there. That's a 20B plus the other one. It's going to give us a 2800C. We can divide all of these by 20. And what do we get? That's going to be a B plus 140C. And on this side, you divide by 20, you're going to get a 24. Okay. Now, next up, what do we have? However, an increase in daily production from 40 to 60 units results in something else, right? Or increase of only 50%. Okay. Looks like there's one more equation. Let me just clear some space and write this 24 equals B plus 140C over here. Okay. Now, at 40 units, what's it going to be? We just wrote it down. So, 240 plus 40B plus 1600 C equals something. All right. So, 60 units means it's going to be 240 plus 60B plus 3600 C. 60 square C. Now, what's the relationship between these two? So, this one compared to this is 50% more. So, 1.5 times this. The first one is going to give us the second one, right? It's 50% more. Now, 1.5 is nothing but 3 by 2. Take the 2 and multiply over there and you get a 480 plus 120B plus a 7200C. And on this side, 3 into 240 is going to give us a 720 plus 120B plus a 4800 C, right? The 120B and 120B are cancelled. 720 minus 480 is going to give us a 240 equals, take that there and you get a 2400 C, which means a C is nothing but a 0.1, right? C over here is 0.1. So what's the value of B going to be? B equals 24 minus 140 C, and if C is going to be nothing but 1.1, I mean 0.1, that's a 14, all right? 24 minus 14, and we get B equals 10. That's it. So the cost equation over here is nothing but 240 plus 10x plus 0.1 x square. Now continuing with the question, assume that the demand is unlimited, that Mr. David can sell as much as he can produce. His objective is to maximize the profit. Maximize the profit, fine. How many units should Mr. David produce daily to maximize the profit? So the profit over here is nothing but revenue minus the cost, all right? So revenue minus cost, that's going to be 30x minus of 240 plus 10x plus 0.1 x square. The profit is nothing but minus 0.1 x square. We'll write it in the x square plus bx plus c format. 30x minus 10x, that's a plus 20x, and then a minus 240. Okay, so now what's going to maximize the profit? How many units should he produce daily to maximize the profit? The units produce nothing but x value. At what x value is this profit maximized? Simple, we've done this, right? So what is that going to be? X equals minus b by 2a. That's it. That's when it gets maximum. Just refer to the quadratic equations lesson, right? So minus b, the quotient of x over here is b, minus 20 divided by 2a. 2 times this. 2 into minus 0.1 is minus 0.2. That gets cancelled. So 20 by 0.2 is 200 by 2, which comes to 100 units. So option 2 over here is the answer. What is the maximum daily profit in rupees that Mr. David can realize from his business? This is the second question, right over here. The maximum daily profit, we just found x to be 100. We just need to plug that in over here and see as to, how much the daily profit going to be, right? So just substitute over here, and what do we get? Minus 0.1 into 100 square. So minus 0.1 into 10,000, right? Plus 20 into this, that's plus 2,000, minus 240. Minus 0.1 into 10,000, that's going to be minus 1,000. 2,000 minus 1,000 is 1,000 minus a 240, which remains, and that's going to be a 760 rupees. Option 4 is the answer here. On to question 117. A salesman sells two kinds of trousers, cotton and woolen, okay? A pair of cotton trousers is sold at 30% profit, and a pair of woolen trousers is sold at 50% profit. Okay, profit percentages are given. The salesman has calculated that if he sells 100% more woolen trousers than cotton trousers, now we don't know the cost prices, we don't know the quantity as well, but if we are told that the quantity of woolen trousers sold is 100% more, that is twice that of cotton, then the overall profit will be 45%. However, he ends up selling something else. What will be his overall profit? Now, we don't know the cost price of a cotton trouser, and we don't know the cost price of a woolen trouser, right? So, cotton and woolen, let the cost price per unit be how much? Cost price per unit over here be C and W itself. Now, what is the profit per unit going to be? Profit per unit, 30% profit on the cotton, so that's going to be a 0.3 C, and 50% profit on the woolen, that's going to be 0.5 W. The salesman has calculated that if he sells 100% more woolen than cotton, right, number of units, we can take it as a ratio format. We can assume numbers over here. We've used variables, right? Once we can assume numbers. So if it is going to be 100% more woolen than cotton, if cotton is 1, woolen is 100% more, so it's 2, right? 100% of 1 is 1 extra, so that's 2, it's doubling it. So if number of units is 1 and 2, now what's given over here is the overall profit will be 45%. Overall profit, right? So what is the total CP is going to be what? Total CP over here is going to be 1C plus 2W. C plus 2W, right? Next up, what are we told over here? We told that the overall profit will be 45%. So the overall profit over here is going to be 45% of this, which is 0.45 into C plus 2W, right? But I can also individually find out the profits. So 1 unit was sold at 0.3C profit, that's 0.3C. 2 units were sold at 0.5 W profit, 2 into 0.5 W, so that's going to be plus W. Now these two are going to be equal. Once again, how do I find the overall profit? That's a 45% profit, and that's on the total cost price. 1C plus 2W is the total cost price on that 45%. Individual profits can also be found out. 0.3C on 1 into 1 and 0.5 W into 2. That's the total profit as well. So 0.45C, you bring the 0.3C to the right hand side, you get a 0.15C. And 0.45 into 2, that's going to be 0.9. You bring it here and you get a 0.1 W. Right? So it's nothing but 10 W equals 15C. So what can I write? W by C equals 3 by 2. Okay. Now what is asked over here? How I ends up selling 50% more cotton trousers than woolen, right? Than woolen over here. So how do we work with this? W equals 1.5C, right? So W equals 1.5C. We can rewrite this part, right? We can get rid of these. We can use the same structure. In fact, right? Just for you to understand. So shouldn't take you too long after this. What is given over here for us? W is nothing but 1.5C. I can use one variable right now. Now, how I ends up selling 50% more cotton trousers than woolen. So woolen was 2, 50% is half more than this, right? Why did I use 2 over there? Because 50% is half, put the 2 over there. If this is 2, half of 2 is 1 more, so 3 over here, right? So 3 is 50% more than 2, done. Now, what are the profits over here? 30% of C, we had that earlier as well, and half of this, right? 50% of this, that's going to be 0.75C. Now, what will be is overall profit, right? So overall profit over here is going to be total CP is what? 3C plus 3C. 3C plus 3C, 2 into 1.5C, that's a 6C. What's the profit over here? 3 into 0.3C, that's 0.9C. 2 into 0.75C, that's going to be a 1.5C. These two, if you add up, you're going to get 2.4C, right? The cost price is 6C, 2.4C is the profit. So 2.4C by 6C over here, all right? Your C gets cancelled into 100%. 24 by 60, 24 by 60 is going to give you 4 by 10. 4 by 10 is 0 is knocked off over here, and that's going to give you a 40%, right? So option 2 over here is the answer. On to the next question. KK, an aspiring entrepreneur, wanted to set up a pen drive manufacturing unit. Since technology was changing very fast, he wanted to carefully gauge the demand and the likely profits before investing. Market survey indicated that he would be able to sell 1 lakh units before customers shifted to different gadgets. Fine. KK realized that he had to incur 2 kinds of costs fixed, okay, irrespective of whatever. Understood variable cost equals variable cost per unit multiplied by the number of units, the way we know it. KK expected the fixed cost to be 40 lakhs, okay, variable cost to be 100 per unit, fine. He expected each pen drive to be sold at 200 rupees, okay, each pen drive 200 per unit, okay, perfect. So what would be the break-even point defined as no profit, no loss situation for KK's factory? All right, so we have a direct scenario over here, variable margin, right, as I've told you in the profit and loss lesson. 200 minus 100, 200 minus 100, that's 100 rupees per unit is what I'm making after covering my variable cost. Revenue is 200 per unit, 100 is variable cost, 100 per unit. Subtract that, 100 per unit is what I'm making after covering variable cost. I need to now cover 40 lakhs, right, for my number of units, right? I need to cover break-even volume over here. I need to cover 40 lakhs, right? At what? 100 per unit has to be used to cover 40 lakhs. 2 zeros get rid of, and that comes to 40,000 units over here. Now, what's asked over here is in terms of sales, and everything is given to me in rupees. Now, 42,000 units have to be sold. In terms of sales, or the selling price of 200 rupees is going to be how much? Into 200, right? So add back a 2 zeros over here. That comes to 40 lakhs. 40 lakhs into 2, that comes to rupees 80 lakh. Option 1 is the answer here. The same case, the next question over here. KK was skeptical that per unit variable might increase by 10%, though the demand might remain the same. What will be the expected changes in profit in such a case? The per unit variable increases by 10%, okay, whereas demand is going to remain the same. Now, what do we know about the demand? It's total of 1 lakh units over here, okay, sell 1 lakh units over here. Now, what is the changes to the profit, right? You have a scenario 1 and then you have a scenario 2, right? What's the revenue over here? 1 lakh, right, units at 200 rupees, that's 200 lakhs, right? So let's just write it in lakhs, and 200 in scenario 2 as well. The fixed cost over here remains at 40, there's no changes to that, right? Now, what about the variable cost over here? The variable cost is going to be 100 per unit for 1 lakh, that's 100. And the second case, it's going to be 10% more than 100, right? It's 110 rupees for 1 lakh units, 110. Now, what's going to be the profit? 200 minus 140, that's a 60. 200 minus 150, that comes to a 50 rupees over here, right? 50 lakh rupees. Now, what will be the expected changes in profit? That's going to be a reduction. From 60, it's becoming 50. The reduction is how much? The reduction is 10. Reduction is 10 compared to earlier value of 60. 10 by 60, 1 by 6. Convert to percentage, you're going to get 16.2 by 3% or 16.67%. The profit will decrease by. Option 4 is the answer here. So one more question in this case. He discussed his business with a chartered accountant. KK informed that he was contemplating a loan of rupees 20 lakhs at simple interest of 10% per annum for starting the business. The chartered accountant informed him that in such a case, KK has to pay interest followed by 30% tax. By how much does KK's earnings change? With 20% growth in sales will be the original sales volume, okay, compared to the original sales volume, which was just 1 lakh units. A second scenario with 1.2 lakh units, right, because there's a 20% growth in sales. Fine. In both cases, considering tax and interest and loan. Both cases you have tax, both cases you have interest and loan. We'll have to understand the impact to the profit. Okay, scenario 1, scenario 2 over here. What's the revenue going to be, right? Scenario 1, normal scenario, 200 into 1 lakh units, that's 200, right? This is in rupee and lakh, okay? Scenario 2, 1.2 lakh units sold at 200 per unit, that's going to be 240 lakhs. Fine. So what's the cost going to be? The cost over here is going to be, you have a 40 lakh fixed cost, okay? We'll just, in fact, write it down clearly. Fixed cost over here is going to be 40 and 40, that doesn't change. The variable cost is going to change, right? When there's 1 lakh units at 100, that's going to be 100. 1.2 lakh units at 100, that's a scenario 2, that's going to be 120. Now, what's going to be the profit? 200 minus 140, that's 60, we had it earlier. 240 minus 160, that's going to come to 80, minus the interest on the loan, because in both cases you have interest on loan. 20 lakhs is the loan, 10% is the interest, 10% of 20 is 2, right? So minus 2, and we get a 78, and in this case we get a 58, okay, 58. Then we have a tax at 30%. Now, tax at 30% has to be subtracted from both. So, if 30% is removed from both, the profit after tax is going to be 70% of whatever it was, because 30% is to be subtracted. We are left with 70% of it. This 30% or 70% doesn't make much of a difference when we are trying to compare the two and see the fall, right? By how much does it change, the earnings change, right? The last part doesn't matter and you'll see it soon, right? What am I going to get if I do 78 into 0.7 divided by 58 into 0.7? That's my multiplication factor. The multiplication factor, which is nothing but 1 plus change percent, is going to be what? 78 into 0.7. Just refer to the percentage lesson if you aren't familiar with this, right? Cancel 78 by 58 over here, right? 78 by 58 is nothing but 120 by 58 or 110 by 29. 1 plus change percent is 110 by 29. The one you get rid of. The change percent is nothing but 10 by 29 into, then you can multiply with 100% at any point, right? So what's 1000 by 29? 29 threes are 87. Then you have 13 left. 130 and a 4 over here. 4 into 29 is going to give us 116, and you have 114. You have a 14 left, right? Yeah, a 14 left. A 14 by 29. 34, 14 by 29% is the answer. The closest over here is clearly option 5.